This is the Business Owners IT Podcast with Anthony Gerasch and Ryan Carter, where tomorrow's technology meets today's conversations.
Hi, I'm Tony Gerasch.
And I'm Ryan Carter, and this is the Business Owners IT Podcast.
A podcast where we discuss tips, tricks, and solutions for business owners involving all things tech.
All right, CIS Control 10 and podcast episode number 20.
Wow, that's
We're
a lot.
Moving on up there for us.
Yeah.
So Control 10 is Malware Defenses to prevent or control the installation, spread, and execution of malicious applications, code, or scripts on enterprise systems. So, Tony, you want to take us through the key aspects?
Yeah, we'll do some key aspects here. First of all, you guys can see that we're in a new podcast room, right? So, the previous episode might have been a little bit loud or a little bit quiet. Our man John here had to get things dialed in. So anyways, the key aspects: anti-malware tools, real-time scanning, regular updates and patching, automated threat detection, and maybe someday I'll get an iPad like him. Configuration management, user education, network-based malware. And the objective the goal is to minimize the risk of malware infections through proactive defense, automated detection, and user awareness. This control ensures the organization has strong measures in place to detect, prevent, and respond to malware, reducing the risk of a compromise and system damage. So we'll dive into the first one here.
Ooh,
right?
Anti-malware tools. Here we go.
Anti-malware tools, right? So, and we, it summarizes here: deploy anti-malware tools on all systems, including servers, workstation, mobile device, to detect and block malicious software. Ensure that these tools are regularly updated with the latest malware signatures. So that's a good one, right? Anti-malware tools. Well,
I got to ask you this question.
Go ahead, man.
What is malware?
Malware software. So, and malware is just software. That's all it is. If you get that into your head, right, that malware is software. It's malicious software, but it's software. That's all it is. And, again, we use ThreatLocker for this, right, for our customers, because ThreatLocker is application whitelist, and I give them a lot of plugs, right? But, hey, I can sit here at night knowing that, sleep at night knowing that nothing's going to run unless it's been approved.
Okay.
And, so we only allow what's needed and block everything else. So, that's what we use for our customers.
So when it comes down to anti-malware tools, can you just say that it's just the newer way of stating antivirus software?
Yeah, it's antivirus software, but the problem is with traditional antivirus software, right, that's based on signatures. It's based on, and now they got the AI. Everybody's saying they got AI in their antivirus. Again, AI is the learned behavior, or the learning has to happen before it's going to be blocked. I mean, It still has to learn something. So maybe the machine can learn faster, right, than the traditional antivirus, where somebody has to look at it and then they have to push out updates and do all that stuff. But it's just basically antivirus software.
Yeah, I think the AI piece of it helps with the, when it's centrally managed.
Right.
So it can push all those updates out quickly and get things blocked for others that may have that malware. So I do have to ask you a question, since, this is funny to say, but over the past few years, Windows Defender has become a pretty big antivirus player in the game, and it used to be laughable, very laughable, that Windows antivirus that came free was terrible, but now it's become a top one. And can you tell us why maybe it has become top?
Well, one of the things is that Windows Defender is now being put on all the Windows professional operating systems, right? Yeah. So, they have a bigger input into. Well, that was weird, huh?
Yeah. When you're sitting on a plane and they pressurize the cabin, that's the sound we just got.
So we just got some air conditioning on here, so we'll see how this sounds after we keep going. But anyways, what were we talking about?
Why Defender is number one now?
Yeah,
so
the Defender, yeah. So it's on all the professional operating systems, right? And now we have tools like Huntress and the rest to be able to manage it. So we have real cool insight into the management of the antivirus. We can manage it from a one central location, right? But they're on hundreds of thousands of millions of computers now on everybody's computer. So it's one of those things again where Microsoft is giving something away that people used to charge for.
Yeah, and they're collecting all that data all at once. So if
Yeah.
one computer gets attacked, they're going to know about it and be able to push out that update almost
Right.
instantaneous.
Right. So they're, it's yeah. And again, we've been using it with Huntress, and it's remarkable how well it does.
The real-time scanning would be the next one.
Yeah, the real-time scanning, again, they're talking about antivirus, right? They're talking about antivirus here again. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of outdated. Again, how do we, if we don't have real-time scanning, what they say, what do we do to protect it? We use something, again, like ThreatLocker. Hey, nothing runs. So do I need to really be scanning all the time? I mean, when I think about real-time scanning, I'm thinking about, these days, I'm thinking about, vulnerability scanning, internal and external vulnerability scanning, right? Those is what I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for systems that potentially have, and you could do authenticated and unauthenticated vulnerability scanning. If you do authenticated vulnerability scanning, that means they have insight into the computers, right? So we should be able to find the vulnerabilities not only in the operating systems but the software. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Which goes into the regular updates and patching, which if you want to take this one, you can. It's pretty
so
boring.
boring.
Go ahead.
But it's probably one of the most important things you can do to your computer is to make sure it's updated and patched.
Right.
It's so
Yeah.
easy for someone to get in anymore. But these 0 days come out, they're patched almost instantaneously. You just got to make sure you're doing that patching. Yeah. And we do that patching for our clients, and we actually use our remote monitoring and management tool to do that. Windows updates, they come out, we've talked about it and other things. We make sure that those are done 7 days after the update's done because we want to test it. Other patching for software like Chrome and Java and Adobe and all that is instantaneous. As soon as the patch is out, we patch it. And we make sure it's being patched, and we keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is your vulnerability scanning, right? Your internal and external vulnerability scanning. Again, we'll find systems that aren't patched, and we're seeing less and less of it these days. But in the years past, I've been doing this since 1997. Patches used to come out and break software. You don't see that too much anymore.
No, and you know what people stopped doing because it did that?
They didn't update.
They stopped updating, and I was one of them.
Yeah.
I used to have some old AT&T systems that ran on an old version of Java. I could not update, so I stopped doing Windows updates, stopped doing it all. And then we started buying newer equipment that wouldn't work on our machines, and I couldn't figure it out why. It's because I haven't patched for 2 years.
Yes, exactly.
I would never do that again. It's the worst days of my IT life, but you got to learn somewhere.
Yep. Next one is automated threat detection. That's a fancy word, or the fancy word for that would, is going to be endpoint detection and response. Again, we use Huntress for that. That's a tool that we use. Basically, if something is detected, right, we need to be able to isolate that host. We need to be able to stop it. So in order to stop it, right, you got to have somebody that's watching 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, if ThreatLocker doesn't work and all the other stuff we have in place doesn't work, somebody gets in, we got to be able to stop it. So again, it's, it's,
Well, a big piece of the EDR is that it not only may stop it, but you can isolate a computer.
Right.
So if you start seeing someone get encrypted, that computer starting to be encrypted, then they can isolate that computer from the network and get it fixed. And that's one big piece of that 24/7 monitored EDR that you would get.
Yes. Next thing in this is configuration management, right? This is where you kind of restrict your USB drives and, to do things like that to stop the spread of malware. Now, again.
Before he says it, are we getting paid yet, John? We probably shouldn't say their name anymore if we're not getting paid for it.
What?
Go for it.
ThreatLocker. Okay,
Yeah.
I see. I get you. What I was going to say is back in the day, again, 1997, right? We used to look at floppy drives, right? Floppy drives. You want to block floppy drives. Then we got USB drives. You want to block USB drives. Any kind of portable media, anything you plug into your computer, right? That plugs in USB, it needs to be looked at. I mean, if you look, there's keyboards today that look like, that look good, like it's a keyboard, but really it's a thing that opens up PowerShell and starts typing,
Yep.
So you gotta, you have to block those things. And again, we use ThreatLocker again. It's called storage control that would block the use of USB sticks. Now, that could sound like a pain. A lot of people aren't using USB sticks anymore. They're using SharePoint or something like that to share files out or OneDrive, but you still need to block them.
Yeah, of course. And one of the things, too, is back in the Wild West of the IT days when USB first came out, it was set to auto-run. Yeah. And it was one of the things that was just never corrected. So that's one thing you want to make sure you're blocking is that that USB doesn't auto-run. And we block USB sticks at our office, and you'd think a bunch of IT guys would be a pain. But once we allow the certain USB sticks in for the technicians, they work fine.
Yeah. And, it'd be real easy for me to take a USB stick, set it down in my office, and say payroll information, and I guarantee somebody's going to pick that up and plug it into their computer because they want to see what's in it. Oh, there's nothing here. But next thing you know, it's been compromised because it was plugged in. Mm-hmm. So next thing is user education. Again, it comes back down to, that user awareness and cybersecurity training. It is a good way to, teach people fake phishing. Another one, it's a good way to get people some type of experience.
Yep. And a lot of you business owners pay for it and you check the box in your insurance, but are you actually making sure that people are doing the training, or if they do get phished that some type of extra training is done for them or something along those lines? It's part of your policy that you should have.
Yeah. And I will tell you one thing for sure, right, is all business owners sign up for the training so they can check it, but then they don't give buy-in to it and they don't enforce it. They don't make sure that their people are doing it. They're just doing it to check a box.
Yep, and then DD's in your system.
Right.
So make sure you check out episode 19 for DD.
There you go. Last thing is network-based malware protection. Network filtering and intrusion detection prevention, IDS, IPS, to detect and block malware network level, reducing the chance of infection and spreading. Again, typically that's going to be your firewalls that are going to do that.
Some of your EDR tools are starting to do it.
Yeah, some of your EDR.
It kind of is.
The other thing too is if you use a SIM, right? So, some of the time, a SIM is basically an event viewer or a logging system, right? And it, Security Operations Center will be looking at that. Sometimes they can identify it too.
Yep, your detection.
Identify something talking out to the internet that shouldn't be. But yeah, so again, all these CIS controls, you got to write policies around them, and then you write them to be based on your what you need.
Yep, your business, exactly.
So,
I do want to add a tip of the week.
Let's go.
For this one is don't turn off your antivirus. We mentioned it earlier how people used to do it because it broke things. It doesn't do it anymore. Yeah. And if it does break something, like say you have a piece of software you wrote or something like that and it's broken, it can be fixed. And if you don't understand what's being blocked by it, contact one of us, like a professional like us or a consultant, and we'll help you through it because it should never be off. Same as your firewall.
Yeah, same thing as your firewall. That's part of the monitoring too, right? So you need your firewall running. You need to be logging your firewall on your computers so that when something happens, you can go back and figure out how it happened.
Yeah, and if you need help with that, check the link below.
Yep.
John will drop it in there for us.
All right, anything else?
Nope, I think that's it for us this week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Owners IT podcast, and I hope to see you next week,
where we talk about CIS Control 11, data recovery, one of our favorites.
Unique computing solutions. Your IT challenges solved.